crash site was ever found. No distress signal was ever recorded. No emergency transmission. Nothing. A private jet simply disappeared from radar while flying over the Atlantic. And for 12 years, it was classified as lost. Then, deep inside the Amazon rainforest, something impossible appeared. A full-sized private jet. Not wrecked, not broken, not burned. Just sitting perfectly upright between massive trees, as if it had gently landed there and been left behind. The first people to see it were logging workers. At first they thought it was some kind of building or abandoned structure, but as they got closer, the shape became clear. It was an aircraft, a luxury private jet, and the strangest part wasn't that it was there, it was how it was there. There was no crash path, no broken branches, no torn ground, no signs that something massive had forced its way through the forest. It looked placed. One worker later said it felt like the forest had grown around it, not the other way around. When authorities were called, they ran the tail number immediately. What came back made everything worse. The jet belonged to a European private charter company. It was officially marked as lost 12 years earlier, but there had never been a crash report. No wreckage search. No confirmed last location. It was simply listed as vanished, as if it had been removed from the system entirely. A recovery team was sent in. It took them days to reach the aircraft through thick jungle terrain. And when they finally arrived, the silence was the first thing they noticed. No birds, no insects, no wind moving through the trees, just stillness. The jet sat in the middle of it like something the forest refused to acknowledge. They opened the door. Everything inside was intact. Seatbelts were still fastened. Bags were still in overhead compartments. Personal items were still on seats. A half-finished drink was still on a tray table. One passenger phone still had battery left, but it only played static. There was no decay consistent with 12 years of abandonment. No collapse, no rot, no normal passage of time. It looked like everything had simply paused. In the cockpit, all systems were off, except one small flickering screen. It repeated the same message again and again. We did not land here. That line became the center of the entire investigation. The black box was recovered and sent for analysis. At first, the recording was normal flight data. Routine, calm, nothing unusual. Then, halfway through the timeline, something changed. A sudden shift in the pilot's voice. Panic, confusion, heavy breathing. We're losing altitude, but there's no turbulence. Then a long pause. Then, it's not air. It's like something is pulling us through, like the sky is opening. And then the recording ends, abruptly, as if whatever happened next never entered the system. When investigators checked radar data again, they found something even more disturbing. The jet never showed a crash. It never disappeared gradually. It was visible one moment, and then 12 years of data simply did not exist. No descent, no disappearance path, no trace between here and gone. Just a gap. Like reality skipped a page. Then came the forest itself. The trees around the jet were fully grown, not regrown after damage. Fully mature trees forming tightly around the aircraft's shape, as if they had been growing around it for years without interruption, which made no biological sense. Nothing that large could have entered that space without destroying everything in its path. But nothing was destroyed. Even the soil beneath the jet showed no signs of impact. Local tribes living nearby refused to approach the site. They said the same thing without coordination. It was not brought here. It was left. When something forgets where it belongs, it stays where it is placed. Authorities quietly closed the investigation. No official explanation was ever released. No conclusion was ever confirmed. But years later, Leaked internal notes contained a single line from a senior investigator. No physical trajectory exists for the object's arrival. The aircraft is not consistent with movement through space. Today, the jet is still there inside the Amazon rainforest. But satellite images show something even more unsettling. The aircraft is not always in the same exact position. It shifts slightly over time, not moved by humans, just repositioned, as if something is still deciding where it belongs. And the only question that remains is this: if it didn't crash, if it didn't land, and if it wasn't placed there by anything known, then what does it mean for something to end up somewhere without ever arriving? If you made it this far, drop a comment, "I heard it," and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.